strong winds between Monroeville and Bellevue, right there along 113, Route 99, Route 4. Route 4 is a main street, or a main highway, I should say, basically a highway or a state route there around the Lime area, also around Bellevue, and then there's the town of Groton. If we could go ahead, control room, and take this full screen again, I want to get the latest information. Thank you very much from our friends over at the Weather Service, and if they've updated the information on this warning. Again, this warning goes until 11:45 for Erie County and Huron County as well. This was issued here roughly about 10 minutes ago, 8 to 10 minutes ago. Tornado and quarter-size hail moving south at 15 miles per hour. And again, we're talking about this out of Sandusky, just south of Sandusky. And now the tornado potentially, Doppler indicated, near the Bellevue area here. Erie and Huron counties are under this warning here. As this storm passes out of Erie County, it will then largely just be a Huron County issue. There's the county line right there between Groton and the town of Lime, right along Route 20. That's where we most likely have our potential tornado here. You see these very strong winds. Again, these winds are moving towards our radar easily 60 to 70 miles per hour. So the winds themselves are not only creating a severe thunderstorm warning, but also we have the rotation that is there that indicates where we may have more than just a straight line wind event. These storms, some of these storms have been spinning. We were on our digital devices earlier tonight on Facebook Live as well, and we were talking about some spinning within these storms, and I was watching a couple of storms out over the lake as they moved on shore. We didn't get a warning at that point, but I knew the potential was certainly there here this evening. So here's a look as we've got some updated information. This polygon has changed just a little bit, and you can see that it's now heading a little bit more off to the south and west. So Monroeville to Bellevue. Let's go ahead and refresh here. I'll go ahead and put this back on, make sure nothing's changed with that. Erie and Huron until 11:45 with this particular warning here. Doppler radar indicated tornado warning, and where we have the strongest signature potentially here is around the Bellevue area, just east of Bellevue, basically heading right along Route 4 off to the south and west. So let's go ahead and we're going to track where this spin is and give you an idea and give you some city names here as this moves off now just a little bit more off to the west as well as the south. So we're going to move it this way, and again, moving at about 15 to 20 miles per hour. Frank 1148, Reedtown 1156, on into Reed 1206, Attica Junction 1217. We'll refresh that here as we get new information. If we could take this full in the control room, I want to take a look at the latest info on this particular tornado warning from the Weather Service, just to kind of get you the latest information. Make sure that we have that as we pass it along to you. Again, it expires in 22 minutes at 44 or 45 after. The tornado warning remains in effect for northwestern Huron and Erie counties. The potential was there at 11:20 here 2 minutes ago for this potential tornado located between Kimball and Bellevue, 9 miles northwest of Norwalk, moving south at 15 miles per hour, and we're talking about potentially in and around the Bellevue area over the next few moments. So again, the motion is still south at 15. We can come back on here to our touch screen, and you can see as we track where that rotation likely is in this storm. As it moves south, we're going to get you new cities here. Lime 1130, Hunts Corners 1137, Lime and also Bellevue, Sherman 1147, Havana midnight, and then if this were to continue to the south, we'd be talking about Willard at 1221. All right, we do have our digital journalist, Jeff Slauson, also standing by. Jeff, do we have anything more regarding this particular tornado warning, or obviously all the flooding that we've seen here this evening, and as well as severe weather? I'm guessing we've got some potential power outages.
Yeah, so we've kind of been tracking this progressively over the last couple of hours or so, and we're starting to see the real impact of these outages take place. Whenever we have something like this, Jason and I like to come on here, show where the power outages are, particularly because at a time like this, when the flooding is getting intense, potential for those tornado warnings, things like that, it's dark, you can't use much, so it's good to know potentially if your area may be affected. Everywhere that is in blue is not necessarily that large of a concern. That's just a handful of customers. Again, customers, not necessarily people. We are still seeing about thousands of people though, and this is starting to flood in toward Lorraine, Vermilion, Huron, those areas. As soon as it leaves that blue and starts to go to orange and green, that is where we see a drastic increase in the amount of people and the amount of customers that are without power. Lorraine right now, 10,000. The thing is, we do not know when it'll be back on. Of course, Jason, if you get back to me here, I'll try and figure that out.
All right, very good. Thank you very much for that info, Jeff. And of course, the reason we're on the air here and the reason we're going to be on the air for another 20 minutes at least here is for this. It's a relatively small warning as far as tornado warnings go. Now, we've had tons of flash flood warnings tonight. We've had water rescues. We've had interstates shut down, Interstate 90 west of Cleveland. We've had roof collapses potentially from lightning. It's been a very volatile severe weather evening. And now to cap it off, we have our first tornado warning here. This takes us all the way out west of Norwalk in southwestern Erie County and far northwestern Huron County. So it's a relatively small warning, but again, we take all tornado warnings very, very seriously. Now, when you look at the reflectivity, this is the radar or the rain that's falling. You see potentially a little hail out towards the turnpike, and then we've got a couple of these notches here. This one near the Bellevue area, another one near Monroeville. Right between Monroeville and Bellevue is likely where we have that spin. Now, remember, Doppler radar indicates the velocity, indicates the rainfall, and it can interpret where we may have a tornado spinning. Not necessarily at ground level, we wait for confirmation on that, but certainly when you look at a radar image and certainly when you look at our velocity image, you do see the very strong winds moving in different directions and the potential there for rotation, not only in the upper levels of the atmosphere, but also down near the ground. So let's go ahead and take a look here because, boy, rainfall, the reflectivity we call it, I'm not really seeing too much that it would jump out at me. Remember a couple of weeks ago, we were tracking those impressive hook echoes on that Saturday, and this is nothing like that. So let's take a look again back at our velocity product. Yeah, we still do have what we call a couplet when we talk about severe weather meteorology and radar meteorology. We've got very strong winds moving in this direction towards our Cleveland radar. Remember, we're shooting from the Cleveland radar here at the airport. So we've got winds in the green or the blue colors indicating very strong winds moving towards the radar. And then on the other side of this thing, we've got winds wrapping around it. So I do know we were watching this over the last half an hour or so. So was the Weather Service saying, hey, we're watching this. It's got some spin. We may make a determination on it. So we were ready to go on and talk about this, and then the warning was issued. So between Bellevue and Monroeville, right along Route 20. If you live, I mean, we're almost getting ready here to sound the all clear for Erie County. This will largely become a Huron County tornado warning, but I'm not going to do that just yet. I'm going to need a couple more scans before I feel comfortable for folks in southwestern Erie County to kind of sound the all clear. But remember, if you're in this storm's path, we say it a lot, get away from the windows, because if you have winds this strong, and in this case, we've got very strong winds in this storm, being near a window, things can fly around outside and act like projectiles. Nothing to do with people think it's due to the air pressure and the low pressure sucking you out. No, it has to do with things blowing around outside, and anything that can be moved. I've seen video of lawnmowers go through people's windows that were outside. I mean, anything that can be moved can easily be thrown through a window and cause damage. So that's why it's always important. Obviously, get to your basement. Hopefully, you have a safe spot. If not, you should. And another resource for you, as we've gone through so much severe weather, on our website, cleveland19.com, we have our First Alert Severe Weather Survival Guide. It's a bunch of information compiled from the weather team with questions and answers about what to do during severe weather, why we have 19 First Alert Weather Days, safest places if you're out driving around, how to deal with flooding risk, how to deal with lightning. We've had a lot of that. And again, as I mentioned earlier to start the 11 o'clock show, it's been a long time. I've worked in Cleveland, it's 17 years, hard to believe. I don't remember too many nights with as much widespread flash flooding as what we're seeing tonight. So in addition to our flooding that we've seen and confirmed flash flooding across northern Ohio, we've had some severe weather with winds and hail. Now we've added this tornado warning for Erie and Huron County until 11:45, and we're keeping with this warning until 11:45, until we see either the warning expire or discontinue, or we see data that really shows that things are improving. And right now, it does look a little bit better than it was, but we still have that signature in that potential rotation. What I'm going to do is put a new track on this because, of course, this storm is moving. It's not moving all that quickly here. Just to give you an idea where we are, by the way, there's Sandusky, Cedar Point is up there. There's Cleveland off to the right side. There are a lot of rain between here and there, between Cleveland and where this tornado potentially is. So let's go ahead and, again, put a brand new track on where we likely have that notch and that spin. And, again, only moving about 15 to 20 miles per hour. So it is not moving all that quickly. And, thankfully, a lot of areas out here are fairly rural. Not every place is rural, but thankfully here we've got a lot of open fields and not a ton of businesses and homes, which you always hope for when we talk about any type of tornado warning. All right, Lyme there, Lyme, 1133, Hunts Corners, 1141, Sherman, 1150, Havana, a little bit after midnight, and then on into Willard. Willard is north and west of Ashland. Willard is basically due west of New London here at 1224 as this storm continues to blow through, not only now leaving Erie County, moving through much of western Huron County, and the potential is there for this to eventually become a storm that may affect the Shelby area west of Ashland there. That's really into northern sections of Richland County. So we'll have to watch for that as well. This warning goes until 11:45. You see there on your screen for this particular cell. Another thing we want to look at, we look at the velocity product, which takes us inside the storm winds. The radar shows the rain that is falling. Another tool that we use when we talk about severe weather is the potential for some debris. And it's something we call the correlation coefficient. Basically what that does, it differentiates something that might just be rain or even some hail with something that may be debris, like tree branches, like dirt. Whatever the case may be, something that's not rain. And when you look at this, we see some noise around the Groton area, also some noise around Bellevue. But for the most part, where we're concerned about is right here between Monroeville and Bellevue. That's kind of been the area that we've been watching here with this storm. We'll go back to our velocity. I think that does a little bit of a better job. All right, so what we're noticing here, and I'm sure our friends at the Weather Service are also noticing it, we kind of are losing our really big wind intensities. And I do want to go ahead and take this full because I'm pretty sure Erie County can be dropped from this warning. Give me one moment just to confirm this. Again, as these storms have been racing off to the south and west, for the most part, the worst part of the storm here is moving out of Erie County now into northwestern portions of Huron County, moving out of Erie County. So the tornado warning continues here, but we can drop, control room, we can drop Erie County from this warning. This is now just a Huron County warning until 11:45, I believe, if we click on this. Yeah, you can see only until 11:45, and this is now only for Huron County. That's the worst part of the storm. So if you're in Erie County, yeah, there we go. We've sounded the all clear for you. Yeah, flash flooding also occurring throughout all of Northeast Ohio. Again, nearly every county except off to the northeast, far north and east. We've basically seen flash flooding here across northern Ohio. In fact, we're going to take a look at that real quick and kind of give you an idea of the amount of flash flood warnings we have. And in many cases, sometimes flash flooding can be almost worse than tornado warnings in some cases, or certainly severe thunderstorm warnings. So got a lot of flash flooding occurring right now across northern Ohio. We still do have a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings I want to point out. Here's one there, Ashland, Huron, Richland, and Seneca. That's until 12:15 a.m. That's that one particular warning there. And that, I believe, right now, thankfully, that's the only one. We do have another warning for a severe thunderstorm. That's for Ottawa until 12:30. And we also obviously have a lot of flash flood warnings as well. And those go through about 2 or 2:30 this evening, mainly away from greater Cleveland. Now, thankfully, if you're Cleveland, Akron, Canton, even along 71 and east, you're certainly drying out. Perhaps a few showers, we're going to have to watch for those, but the main show here is off to the west, and that's the reason we're on the air, that little red block right there. It's not too little once you zoom in. This is for Huron County, again, until 11:45 with this particular storm. That's what we're tracking. Let's go ahead and get you the latest here as far as our track on this storm south of Sandusky. We're going to go ahead and follow it off to the south at about 15 miles per hour. So again, it's not moving all that quickly. Hunts Corners 11:40. We've got 6 minutes until that happens. On into Sherman at 11:52. Havana a little bit after midnight, Steuben a little bit after, or around quarter after 12, and then on into Willard at 12:25. Severe thunderstorm warning for this area as well, but the reason we're here talking to you is the tornado warning. Now, I do want to be honest here, as I look at this storm and the velocity product here, as we make this pretty big, we've really kind of lost that very strong wind signature that we had moving towards our radar. That's why this tornado warning is pretty small. I think what the Weather Service is thinking is that this is a very short-lived event if we indeed do have a tornado warning on the ground. Otherwise, this box would be a lot larger. So that does give me a little bit of optimism here. Bellevue is no longer in the tornado warning. Monroeville still is. Certainly if you're in the town of Sherman or you live anywhere in and around Sherman, especially north of Sherman, right along 547 or Route 4 or Route 99, it's a good time to get to your safe spot if you already haven't, anywhere really in western Huron County, because if this storm continues to move south, it will affect folks in western Huron County. Get to your safe spot. Again, interior, a closet, a bathroom. I think it's a great idea to cover your head if you can with something. Some folks wear helmets just in case, and that's not a bad idea because, you know, flying debris or anything that may fall or any roofs that are damaged or torn off, flying debris, obviously you want to protect your head. You want to crank up the audio on your TV or the app. Again, we're on the phone. We're streaming here as well. Because you might lose power, and the phone, hopefully they're charged up. That's the beauty of the technology that we have, and the technology of having the phone is the fact that we can stream coverage like this even if you lose power. Back in the day, we couldn't do that. So that is really helpful with this particular tornado warning. So again, we are watching this. I want to take this full real quick, control room, and get to some new information. If we do have some, I'd like to pass it along to you. This warning expires in about 8 minutes, roughly in about 8 minutes for Huron County. Now, I do want to show you, this was just issued. The tornado warning for for Erie County is canceled. Let's see, do we have tornado? I believe the tornado warning does remain in effect for Huron County. We've talked about that. At 11:30, so about 6 minutes ago, this potential tornado, located just off to the east of Bellevue, 9 miles west of Norwalk, moving south at 15. So again, basically what I've been saying, that this storm now has crossed Route 20, heading to the south. We've got another 7 or 8 minutes left on this tornado warning, moving off to the south. And again, as I look inside this storm, while we still do have some winds moving in opposite directions, to be honest, this isn't all that tight anymore. But again, we're going to stay on this because tornado warning, sometimes we can get a scan or two where it doesn't look all that great. Then all of a sudden the next scan from our radar, because the radar spins around and we get data as it spins, all of a sudden you get a brand new scan and we've got a huge green and red couplet with potential rotation down to ground level. So just because we don't see anything with this particular scan doesn't mean that things can't change in between these radar scans. That's why it's really important, while things don't look very bad on this, to always take a look and be ready for something that if it does change. All right. Digital journalist Jeff Slauson, as always, has his hand on what's going on as well. Jeff, I know we've had a lot of flooding tonight. We've had a lot of strong winds as well, and a good amount of power outages, right? Yeah, so I actually want to hit on the power outages because, it's been, 5-6 minutes since we last spoke here. This has really started to build, and this entire area is now filled in. I know Jason was mentioning that Norwalk area. We are starting to see the outages build into the thousands in that spot. Here's the difficulty we're going to see right now. The earliest we are seeing the restoration of power is 12 a.m., but that's for areas like Avon Lake. Different spots are going to see that. And the earliest I've seen, at least from the far end of when your power could be coming back on, is about 4 a.m. Again, that is the earliest. And I would say a strong majority of the power outages we are seeing right now do not have a potential restoration time. So Jason was mentioning these storms can be incredibly intense and you may not necessarily notice until it really gets on top of you. And we are seeing, as the map starts to update and as the outages start to update, that progressively
This is getting worse and worse for these people. And again, they're going to be without power at least through the night, a potential into tomorrow. We typically do see it takes maybe 6 to 8 hours for some of these areas, especially those that are a little more rural. Think about those Norwalk, Vermilion areas. They potentially could see hours until that restoration. The last thing I want to hit on here, Jason was mentioning that some of these roads now are going to be in extreme difficulty due to what they have seen. Avon Lake Police posting this onto Facebook, asking that people avoid the intersection of Lake Road and Inglewood Drive. A large tree fallen on the roadway, and here's the key right there, took down power lines. If you see power lines that are down, you must avoid them. Get out of the way. Even if they don't look live to you, they could be live and cause a lot of problems for you and for your family. Jason.
All right, Jeff, great work there. I want to, there's a lot of information on that screen. It's better if we do it this way. Again, we're on the air due to a tornado warning in Huron County until 11:45. So we have 5 more minutes on that. And regardless of what happens out here, and we're hoping for the best, no confirmed touchdown and hopefully no significant damage, tonight will be remembered for the amount of flash flooding we've dealt with across northern Ohio. As I mentioned earlier, been working in Cleveland a long time. I don't quite recall as much widespread flooding. Obviously, we have flash flooding certainly from time to time, but as far as having nearly every county under a warning, and take a look at this. This is no joke. Flash flood warning in effect. Erie, Huron, Lorain, Medina until 5:15. Cuyahoga and Lake until 1:45. Cuyahoga, Lorain, Medina, and Summit until 2:15. Why is Cuyahoga on there twice? Different parts of the county being affected in different ways, different areas within that polygon. Flash flood warning, Medina, Stark, and Summit and Wayne, 4:15. And we have another flash flood warning for Ashland, Holmes, Richland, and Wayne until 5:15. Bottom line is we have a ton of high water issues across northern Ohio as we speak tonight. And we've reported on road closures, high water issues, and there may be things that have happened that we don't know about. So it's one of those things where you don't have to go out tonight. The best idea is not to now. Obviously, we're 20 till midnight. People are pretty much at home now, so thankfully. I'm a little concerned about more rain overnight and even into tomorrow morning. That's why, tomorrow morning, the morning show starts at 4:30. They'll have the latest throughout the morning, Jeff, and of course the team there. Let's go ahead and recap here because we've only got 4 more minutes on this tornado warning that we are on the air for. And again, tornado warnings are the top priority here. We treat every county the same. We've got a big viewing area. Now we're talking about northwestern Huron County right now. We treat this the same as South Central Cuyahoga County or Central Summit County, because the information is that critical. If it was coming down in your neighborhood, you want to know as well. So we've got a little bit right here, a little bit of a notch there just outside the warning area. Nothing that doesn't really sound the alarm for me. Let's take a look here briefly at our velocity product and see if we see anything. I'll be brightening things up again south of Monroeville, in and around the Sherman area as well. Sherman, definitely take to your safe spot. Let's go ahead and track again. Pretty wide warning there moving to the south at about 15 to 20 miles per hour. Willard, I'm concerned about, though. I'm optimistic that this warning will not be reissued. Crossing our fingers on that, because if that were to be the case, we'd have more potential tornado warning for western Huron County. And again, this has not been reissued. So Lime here, basically south of Lime, Hunts Corners, Sherman, Havana, and Willard. Our times are a little bit later now because this storm is not moving all that much. Let's go ahead and redo this one and get you some better ETAs here coming out of the Bellevue area. Might have not tracked that perfectly for you. There we go. Sherman 11:56, Havana 9 after midnight, Willard closer to 12:20, 12:30, Centerton at 12:22 on this warning. There's a look at the velocity product. There's the radar. I would suspect here that the Weather Service here in the next couple of minutes will likely allow this warning to expire. But what we're going to do here is we're going to go off the air in a couple of minutes when this warning does expire. And I want to let you know that I'll be busy tonight watching all this stuff, and then Jeff will be in overnight. And right now, the big story across northern Ohio, the massive amounts of rain we've gotten tonight, 3, 4, 5 inches in some locations, and the amount of flash flooding that we've seen, as well as some strong winds and even some reports of some large hail as well. So I'm optimistic that this warning is not going to be reissued, but No worries. If anything does get reissued, or if we see anything here that looks a little bit worse than just some winds and heavy rain and thunder, we will hop back on the air tonight here on WOIO TV and UAB as well. So that's the latest here. We still have a little bit of time on this Huron County tornado warning. Again, northwestern Huron County. And at this point, they have not reissued that. So that is certainly good news on this warning. And if they do, of course, as I mentioned, we will hop back on the air. But outside of that, we're not seeing much of anything that would necessarily concern me for spin. We've got a little spin there, potentially north of Mansfield. Some wind out towards the Elyria area and some stronger winds just north and east of Mansfield. Little issue right here that the Weather Service is probably watching just south and east of Willard. But this is certainly the main show. And again, as you look at this, we're not seeing that real tight rotation like we saw when we came on the air at about 20 after 11. So I would suspect that when 11:45 does get here, that the Weather Service will likely allow this to expire. And as I've said that, we no longer see that warning there on first alert Doppler. So what I'm going to do right now, take this radar full real quick, control room. I want to confirm that, excuse me, that warning has been allowed to expire. I believe it has. I'm going to just check in here into the weather office just to confirm that, because we still do have a little bit of spin out of this storm, but it's important to point out that we may allow this warning to expire, and I think we will here. Let's go ahead and take a look here. Yeah, we've gone ahead and expired that tornado warning. That actually happened a few minutes ago. So we will, at this point, send you over to your regular programming, the Colbert Show, and we'll come on the air again if we have to. I hope we don't have to. But flash flooding, a huge issue tonight, and now this tornado warning, thankfully, has been allowed to expire. All right, for Chris Fry, Jeff Slauson, Rachel Veda, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jason Nicholas. We'll send you back to your normal CBS programming. So let's see, arrivals. So let's take a look. I also like this. It shows you the average delay today is 102 minutes. The disruption index from 1 to 5. You know how many flights have been canceled? None. Just delays. Only one cancellation. I do pay $10 a year for some high-end data. So if we go down to like, what time do you think?
So there was one that was
diverted.
Yeah.
So let's take a look.
So I wonder where that one went.
So playback.
Columbus.
All right, so it just kind of did one of those.
The Toronto one, it's got to be funny. That's a little after that. That one there.
So basically, all the flights have been diverted.
Yeah. See. Yeah. See.
Wow. So this is what it did.
Yeah.
That's something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Flight Radar 24, really good. My favorite. Cool. Yeah, it's a good app.
Yeah, that like on the thing, it said that it was supposed to land, and I was tracking that one. And I was like, that one
also, like, yeah. Also, like, look. Let's say you have a flight tomorrow morning. So we go to Cleveland Hopkins and we go departures. Okay, so let's say you've got, you're flying to Dallas, right? Mm-hmm. Well, let's see, where's the aircraft?
Holy shit, look at this.
All right, so.
Yes, this is Delta Alpha Kilo, over. Speakerphone. Oh, hey, I know you. I'm Nikki. I'm just powered up the backpack again, so nobody is just. How does this look? It's digital launches.